Hello. Okay, let's start the class. Welcome. I hope you can all hear me well. This is an introductory class to industry. We also have, obviously, references on the wiki you will find if you look at the industry side on the wiki. A lot of the info we go over here today. There are loads of different links you can find there, and we also have a market and industry channel on our Discord, which you can also reference. And yeah, ask question. But yeah, so far what we're going to do in the class is basically just as the slide says, the factory button explained. So everything you will find on the industry screen. I would advise you to stay docked or do something low intensity so that you can actually follow the class and not mess up something in game. And yeah, otherwise feel free to ask questions in the in-game channel, in the Discord channel. And you can also speak up in Mumble, of course. We will do a Q&A at the end, so you can also save questions for then. But if you have something for a particular slide, yeah, just feel free to speak up. So we'll basically done with the rules. What is industry is going to be what we're talking about at the beginning, and then go further into the different types of, or things you can do in the industry window: research, manufacturing, invention, and then we'll do a Q&A. And I can also go deeper at the end into some aspects, because I think that if you have a very specific thing you want to do or whatever, we can talk about that. We will talk about briefly talk about reactions here, but it's quite complex, and I will mention a bit of more complex industry concepts, but I will not go deep into this here. We also have intermediate classes on industry, and as I said, at the end, feel free to ask me specifics. I have a bit of experience in like advanced industry myself. So what is industry? Manufacturing, obviously just creating stuff. But you need blueprints for that, and you can research those blueprints both on material efficiency and time efficiency. Basically, using less materials or using less time. And you can do blueprint coupling and invention, and you can do reactions as a basically specific type of manufacturing, which uses different slots. What is not industry? Market training, mining, reprocessing, and planetary production. That's not in the scope of this class. We have obviously classes on this as well. What's important, obviously, like this can all be part of your industry efforts. So maybe you mine some stuff yourself and then you use that to manufacture. Or you do market trading, you buy all the stuff you need and then manufacture from that. If you're mining, obviously you also need to reprocess. And you can also use your planetary interaction stuff to fuel your industry efforts. So it all plays into this, but it's outside the scope of the class, and we have other resources for that. So for manufacturing, basic manufacturing, we need a blueprint, either a blueprint copy or blueprint original, BPC, BPO. And we need to open it in the industry window. And then we need input materials in our hangar to actually produce something. And then at the end, in this case, when we have a BPO, we will always have the stuff we wanted to produce. All the input materials are gone, and we still have the BPO. Obviously, if we're using a BPC, different shade of color, you can see that here. A BPC might have 1 run, might have 10 runs, might have however many runs on them, but they are not infinite, like with a BPO. So at some point the BPC will be used up, and at the end you will always only have the manufactured component, but not the BPC anymore once it's used up. So as an example, here's a contract that basically has everything in it. So you have a blueprint here, in this case, blueprint copy, and you have all the materials. And then you can basically just see in the industry window once you open it with right click and use blueprint, or with double click What input materials you need. Here you only have the basic minerals. You can also see right at the left side the mineral icon. So there might also be different classes of inputs that might also be like arranged there. And in the middle you see the blueprint. You see with a blueprint copy, you see the runs remaining. And you can choose the amount of job runs you want to do. Very important is to look at where your input material location is. So you might have just your main hangar, but you might also have a station container where you have stuff, or if you have a alt corp set up for industry, basically if you really want to go into industry on a bigger scale, then you might have different hangars as well for different things. And then the output location. Also, input and output location is really, really important to check when you are using the resources the Uni provides. So we have a blueprint library where you can copy. We have blueprints you can use, and it's really important to check where is your output location there. And also important then, if you're using blueprints from the Uni, is to check where the money is coming from, so that it's actually going out of your personal wallet. And at the end you just click start, and then it will take some time depending on what you are wanting to produce. To reduce that time, you can do research, you can do time efficiency research, which will again take time and ISK. And you can reduce the time to produce stuff. As well, you can do material efficiency research, which will then reduce the materials required by a set percentage. And there's also other bonuses you can use from player-owned stations particularly that reduce that further. With the industry window, in this case you have a very small job duration, just a few minutes, but these can run up to hours or days, weeks. But you always have like a maximum duration of 30 days worth as cutoff. So basically if you're, for instance, doing research, often like the last level you can research will take more than a month if you have something bigger that you're researching. So you will have to research basically the lower levels of the material efficiency or the time efficiency in one go, and then the last level again after you're done. Into the total cost, there will also be going into taxes and other stuff. So always be sure to actually check the cost of the industry job, and you can mouse over it and see what actually goes into it. Really depends on the system and the station you are using. With the player-owned station, how the taxes are set, and if you're using an NPC station as well. All stations have like different boni and different taxes set. So be sure to always check that, because in the end it might affect your the money you can make, the bottom line, very much. For ME and TE research, there are always like 10 levels. You have 10% maximum material efficiency that you can get, and you have 20% maximum time efficiency that you can get. Really important for the material research is always the bonus applies after multiplying the brace requirements per run by number of runs. So if we go back to this for instance has a max run of 5. So if you use all of them, basically the bonus does a lot more, because it's always a percentage based on the all the input you're using up. So it would be better to do all 5 in one go than just 1 at a time. But there's a flaw there, because if there's a minimum input of 1, then that will never get reduced. For instance, you have like a BBC where you always have like one specific, maybe even very high value input, and you're doing a run of, I don't know, like 20 or 100 of that, it will still be 20 or 100 of that input that will never get reduced. So copying is another thing you can do in the industry window. Really very important, obviously, for invention then, if you're going into T2 stuff. But if you're just starting out, it's also really important, because you, as I said, you can use our library in the many different stations we have. So we have BPOs there. From those you can copy, and then you can manufacture from the BPCs. Yep. Yeah, I think you need freshmen to access them, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So you have like a specific hangar, basically, that is just a library of the BPOs. You cannot do anything else but just copy from those into an output hangar, and then you can move them from there and then use them. And copying always just uses the base BPO levels, basically. So for instance here you have material efficiency of 6 and time efficiency of 4, and that gets copied over. And obviously the run you are selecting while copying. So, and the more runs a copy has, again, the longer it will take to copy and the more costly it will be. And as I said, you can use the copies obviously for manufacturing as well, but really important they are for T2 invention. So you basically just take the BPC you have and how many of the runs you have there you can use up for invention as well. And you need data cores and you need decryptors. Both can be obtained by hacking exploration as well. And obviously you can just buy them because people are selling them on the market. You will always need specific data cores depending on the faction, if there's like a specific faction ship, for instance, and another one, or you have like here you have just a minor So you just need 2 different kinds of data cores here. And then you can add a decryptor. You don't need to, but you can add a decryptor, which will then again affect the outcome of the T2 VPC. For once, it will affect the runs you can use, which again might be interesting if you're trying to use the bonuses of the ME bonuses to the max, basically. So the more runs you have, the more you get from that bonus. But obviously, especially with bigger stuff, you might just only build one thing at a time anyway. And then time efficiency again, so that it just doesn't take as long. Time efficiency isn't really that critically important when you're just producing like super small stuff, like this miner or something. Only once you scale up your industry efforts, like when you're like really either doing like a lot of runs from small stuff or you're just producing really big stuff, then it will help a lot to just actually get stuff on the market, because otherwise it might just take forever. And the last thing that a decryptor does is also affect your success probability. There are decryptors that decrease the success probability but give really good bonuses otherwise, more ME, more runs, whatever. And there are decryptors that heighten your success probability. Your success probability is also affected by your skills, of course. And that can be really important, because you might do like a 10-run invention thing and you just have a success probability of like 20%, and then you only get like 2 out of them, and then you don't have a lot of T2 VPCs to actually produce stuff with. And of course, you're also just using money and time. And VPCs you also had to copy again with money and time. And you're using data cores and decryptors, possibly, that just, are used up, and you didn't get anything out of it for that. So that success probability is quite important, actually. Default without a decryptor is a Take-Two VPC with ME2 and TE4, and 10 runs usually. And for ships and rigs you have a run of 1. Skills you will need for invention. You have quite a few skills there, so if you're really wanting to go into manufacturing, into T2 manufacturing, you will need those skills up there as well. You have some basic skills that you need anyway, like mechanics, power grid management, CPU management, basically just basic skills, or matching 14 skills as well. So at some point you will have them at 5 anyway. But there are always the race-specific decryption skills, and you will need to look for what you are wanting to actually produce in the T2-wise, certainly at the beginning, to really focus on a few skills there. You can't just hope to basically produce anything T2-wise right from the start, because you need like so many skills to actually do that effectively. So skill-wise, you can also look at the data cores. Here you have laser physics and mechanical engineering, for instance. So those are the 2 science skills you will need in this case to actually get your success probability up. And you will, as you see here as well in the window, you need at least level 1 to even just start doing it. In this case, you need Laser Physics 1, Mechanical Engineering 1, Galant Encryption Method 1, but then you will have, as you see, a pretty bad success probability, 34% in this case. And you can also see, okay, it takes quite a long time, even with like a pretty basic item. Nearly 4 hours in this case. So it's really good to, get those skills up, get the success probability up. You have a question? Okay. The data cores and decryptors, mainly the data cores, are also important. You can see that you only need 2 in this case, but obviously with larger items you will need a lot more than that. So that can also really be quite the money sink there as well. As I said, you can use hacking exploration, hacking data sites to get both data cores and decryptors. You can buy both the market, obviously. You can also use the ELP stores. I don't know how effective that is really, but yeah, if you don't know what to use ELPs, otherwise you might buy those as well, but just the data cores. And there are also research agents you can use that you can, like, I think every few weeks or so you can visit them again and they might give you a few data cores. Not really, I don't think any of those methods are really that efficient for large-scale production, for large-scale invention, but just to start out, you can use them. And when you have like really getting into industry and you're wanting to have a big industry operation, you will just need to buy a lot of the stuff from the market. So another specific thing you can do in the industry window, again, as I said before, there are different slots for this as well. So you will see, if you look at the industry window, that there are slots for manufacturing, there are slots for research and invention, and there are slots for reactions. All of those slots have corresponding skills as well, of course, to raise them as well. And the reactions are a specific type of, I would say it's a specific type of manufacturing, but it's separate from normal manufacturing. They always consume fuel, and they need refined moon ores. Thresa, could you mute your mic, please? Thanks. Reactions cannot be done in high-sec. Generally, low-sec and especially null-sec, of course, have also more bonuses in general for industry. Like with everything in Eve, the more dangerous the space gets, the higher the rewards, basically. But yeah, reactions cannot be done in high-sec at all. And at the end, in this case, you have also a kind of like BPC looking shade of color maybe. But there are no BPOs or BPCs, they're just reaction formulas that you buy from NPCs. Especially like more advanced reactions can get pretty pricey, and you might need, for a decent operation, quite a few of them, but they are a flat investment. So you can always just buy one and then use it forever. So you will always have reactions coming out, reaction stuff you're producing, and the reaction formula. And yeah, if you're going into T2 production, then you have to deal with all of this. Took me months to figure this stuff out and to actually get like something Korean going there. And you'll probably figure it out much faster than I do. But yeah, I think for the start, this is quite dense to look at. I will not go through all of this stuff. But if you want to talk about it after the class, I gladly walk you through all of it. I think for this is a bit out of scope. It's basically going from MoonOr via all the reaction stuff to T2 production in the end. For the reactions, we have 3 different types of reactions. There are composite reactions. That is basically the stuff you need for T2 production, but we have also hybrid reactions. Those use fuel-rate gas, and they are important for T2 production, T3 production. And there's also biochemical reactions that use non-fuel-rate gases to produce inputs that you then need in booster manufacturing. So drug manufacturing as it was before, now called boosters. With reactions, it's also quite important that you generally have like multiple stages you go through. You have base reactions, and then you combine those reactions again into intermediate materials, and then at the end you actually produce T2 parts, basically. If you want to buy parts of the stuff, it's quite hard because like most of the in-between stuff, the intermediate reactions aren't sold that traded that often, because most industrial people will just do the whole chain. They will buy materials or get materials somehow, base resources, and then do the whole reaction chain. There's also specific unrefined materials. Here you can see on the slide it's refined for MoonOrs, but you can also get specific stuff as well through specific unrefined reactions. But yeah, that's a bit of out of scope, I think, to go deep into this here. So this is a overview of all the skills you can use for manufacturing. Really important: mass production, advanced mass production, to get more factory slots. Obviously, if you're just starting out, you don't need to go like crazy and just go up to advanced mass production. Just get a few levels and see how many manufacturing slots you are actually able to fill. But yeah, as your industrial efforts grow, you might want more and more slots to really grow that production. And yeah, it's the same with all the other stuff, basically. With the reactions, you have and invention and stuff, you always have like a limited amount of slots, and at some point you will want more, so you need to invest into the skills to get more slots. And if you're looking to like really create a big industrial effort, in the end, as with a lot of stuff that you want to scale up in Eve, it can be really helpful to get some alts. Just have an alt for more slots, basically, in industry or invention or whatever. And then, as I said, you can use a alt corp just for that, basically, to do all the industry stuff. Supply chain management just helps with using PPCs remotely so that you don't always have to be in that one system. And advanced industry to speed up manufacturing jobs. Again, if you're just going small scale and just dabble a bit, don't like overinvest in these skills. But if you really feel, okay, industry is for me, I want to scale up, I want to do more of this, you really need time efficiency, researched well, and you need anything that helps you to reduce the time, because otherwise it just always takes longer and longer the more you scale up and the more you want to produce, the bigger stuff you want to produce. And the same goes for all the science stuff. As you can see, you don't just have the lab slots, you don't just have remote stuff. You have the basic skills, science, metallurgy that gives some speed. The research, all of this gives just a bit of speed. But then if you want to go into invention, you need, as I said before, a lot of different skills, and you really need to think about, especially at the beginning, okay, where do I want to focus? What races ships, for instance, do I only want to produce Minimatar ships, or do I want to produce only Amarr ships or whatever, and just focus on those skills, get those up. Even maybe just have one or two specific classes of ships or modules that you produce, so that you just have like two or three or four skills at the beginning that you just focus on and get to 5, so that you actually get like a good invention success. And again, for reactions, as I said, okay, you have a set number of slots, and obviously you can get more slots with the skills, reactions, and mass reactions, and again, remote reactions to run them remotely. Really important is also just click on deliver. You always have to check your actual jobs list and then deliver those jobs. They don't just deliver automatically. Really important as well. Again, if you're using the PPO library, that you don't forget that to actually deliver the stuff and then take it out of the delivery hangars. Yeah, as I said before, the uni has quite a bit of stuff you can use. The PPO library. You can also check the MOTDs of the, I believe now it's like the main campus. And the NSC also has some info on industry. There's also a dedicated NOSSEC information thread on industry. Let me find it and then I can post it into Discord. so they can also find what we actually have to offer at the NSC. And yeah, as I said before, of course, if you want to scale up, if you want to seriously consider industry, you must look at the bonuses you get. You must look into generally moving out of HiSec with those industry efforts. As I said, reactions can only be done out of HiSec as well. And obviously nullsec just gives better bonuses. Again, the structures give better bonuses there. And you have a lot of the stuff like moon materials you can get from there. And yeah, do reactions more efficiently so that you can really scale up your industry efforts. But obviously, if you're just starting out, if you just want to try it out, you can do most of the stuff in HiSec. So there are a few recommended entry points for industry. There's like a lot of stuff you can do in industry. As I said, you can do reactions. You can even just try and focus on invention. That's what I did at the start a bit as well, and try and sell T2 BPCs. Bit of a tough sell sometimes, but yeah, can also be interesting to do, especially if you're doing exploration like I did back then a lot as well. So you just have a lot of the materials for that. But if you want to really look into making regular income out of industry efforts, it's really good to just do Tech 2 rigs, even just Tech 1 rigs to start with. But really, Tech 2 rigs can have very good margins, and you have relatively low volumes of input materials. Obviously, if you're going for Tech 2, that needs invention, or you can purchase the BPCs. That's also what I did at the beginning. So again, that is also a path you can take. As I said, for reactions, you need few blocks. So you can also just focus on producing few blocks. For instance, you have a PI chain set up in somewhere locally, and you have a reaction capable facility. Access via the uni, for instance, or your other corps. And then you can just go directly into that and use ICE materials and the PI materials to produce quite a bit of few blocks relatively easily with a relatively small chain of things you need to do. And then you can sell them with a pretty decent regular profit. And if you really want to go into going directly to T2 production, you can just focus on starting up with reactions, because that's always a bottleneck. So if you're going at least up to the higher tier reactions, you might be able to sell those as well decently. And obviously we have our internal market, so you can just sell them here as well. Yeah, there's just the Q&A slide at the end. Yeah, I also have a few resources, but I will post those while we go. You can ask some questions. So if you want to actually have access to the libraries of the uni, the character always needs to be in the uni itself. So any of those characters you want to use for that. But okay, that's just for copying. So shouldn't be much of a problem. I think what you're referring to is my idea of if you want to really scale up industry, you will probably want to have a few alts that you use. And then you can create an alt corp to manage all of those alts, have them all in that corp, and have hangars to manage your inputs and outputs across multiple characters so that you have an efficient way to actually get your industry going. But that's really just for if you really say, okay, I want to scale up more and more. If you're just starting out, that's not really a concern. Yeah, in general, they need to be Omicron. I think you can get like a few different things you can produce as a alpha, if I remember correctly, but really just very basic. Basically all of the skills are locked to Omega, or at least all the higher levels to most of the skills are locked to Omega in that case. Because if, yeah, I mean, it's like mining, basically. If alphas were allowed to do this, you'd have like the scaling would be absolutely infinite. It would be ridiculous. That's actually an interesting point. So you have your personal slots. Those are not limited to a specific facility or about a specific facility. You have a character with, let's say, 10 manufacturing slots. You could produce at 10 different facilities, but you also only could produce one thing at each of the 10 different facilities, for instance. You can't really directly step on other people's toes, but there is a added cost. It's the system cost index. And there's like a bit of a formula behind that I don't really have in my head right now. But basically, the more people do industry of a specific kind, so either manufacturing, reactions, research and invention, in a system, the more the SCI, the system cost index, goes up in that particular area. And so there will be a little bit of added cost. So if you have like a really hot, high active system, especially like all the manufacturing systems around JITA or something, that added cost might be pretty high. Well, the thing is, like the base skills, there's not a lot to look at. And you don't have a set plan you can do. For mining, maybe kinda to go up to T2 mining vessels. But for industry, it really depends what you want to do. Like, have a look at the science skills. Just open up the science skill part of your skill library, and you will just see, like, I don't know, like it's 50 skills, or I don't know how many it is, which is basically just all for invention. And it really just depends on, apart from the basically 2 or a couple different skills you have that just give you more slots, or the range and stuff. Everything else is just, okay, what do I actually want to do? What do I want to invent? What do I want to produce? And I need those skills. So yeah, I don't know, you couldn't really effectively do a skill plan, I would say. Firefrost is also asking, so should we get research agents for the types of BPs we are copying? The NPC agents just give you the data cores. Those are just for invention, so not needed for copying. But yeah, if you're looking to get some data cores from them and have a specific things you want to do, obviously you can look for the specific agents. Yeah, I've never really used them. I can't tell you much about them, but yeah. Sorry? Mm. I think you can find them when you're looking at the mission agents, and you can sort by research there, if I remember correctly. Let me have a look. Yeah. Yeah, so you can go to the agency, home, agents and missions, mission agents, and there's a part of R&D agents, and then you can set all the different levels and location, security status, faction. Yeah, and then yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you can use the buyback. Obviously, you can buy stuff from other players in the uni, which can be really important. Yeah, really efficient as well, because you might just have them because they have it at the hub's location where you produce your stuff as well. And you can also use the uni hauling service to haul in resources and haul back the production, the manufactured components or ships or whatever. Just be aware, if you're using the uni hauling for profit, you will have to give a bit of money. Yep. Yeah, but especially like minerals, I mean, just have a look at the market channel. There's like always stuff for sale. And yeah, you can also just ask there, and you will probably find a few miners that want to sell you stuff as well. Every time you're using the buyback. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff you sell into buyback will get either directly used by our production department, or will get refined and then used, and yeah, or the funds will be used to buy stuff from the market to then produce all the stuff you find on the flight deck contracts and all the ships you will find in a Stratop or all the other things. Yep. So I'm just posting a few wiki sites that are also of interest. Yeah, we have a few different doctrines that are either used for QRFs, quick response fleets, or used for general roaming and stuff. And you can just basically produce those ships as well and set up contracts, obviously, for the corp. And that can also help people. And you make some money. Obviously, just don't set like ridiculous ridiculous prices there. We have some I think you will find in the forum as well a thread about the corp contracts. I think it was something like 5% GDSL on top or something. That is recommended. HiSec. No, you can do it in basically any space. Even now on the new system, I think the ASAX also has industry facilities. It's just like every space is different. You can do reactions only outside of HiSec, but everything else, obviously, you have a bit more control, maybe, depending. You can be close to a trade hub, for instance, or at Stackmon, right, and have all the things you need there. Obviously, you will not have the better margins you are getting, but you also don't have to worry about hauling things into dangerous space, and especially wormholes. Like the hauling is really the main part, because you basically have to do everything with small hauling ships for the most part. Get it in, get it out. You can get a few resources inside of wormholes, but most materials you will have to get into the wormhole somehow and then get all the things outside and sell. Yeah, I'm just about to post some. So the thread I posted last is the what's it called? Community organized manufacturing initiative. So you can have a look at that to also help a lot with just helping out your fellow comrades. So you will also see the doctrine list in there, so what's good to produce, and just help out actually stocking doctrine ships. That's in the Discord. Class questions. So for third-party tools, the one I mostly have used is RefWorks. A really comprehensive tool that allows you to fiddle with a lot of things, but it's not like too dense, I would say. It's once you figure it out, and there's like pretty good documentation on it on the site. You can really set up basically your whole industrial thing. You can say, okay, I have these access to these structures in this system. These are the bonuses of the structures. This is all the things that I have in my hangar. This is what I want to produce. What do I still need? What is the margin on the things I want to produce? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to check that myself again. I think if you're no, you can just scan it, I think, if you don't have direct access. So what you can do is check in the facilities and mouse over, for instance, the manufacturing things, and you will see the types of ships, for instance, that are supported. For instance, here there's battleships, and Black Ops get a bonus of 4.2 material consumption. And that would be the T2 bonus. I don't know out of the top of my head what you would get outside of nullsec or whatever, but yeah, you can use those as a reference. Do you know what I mean with looking at the facilities in the industry window? Yeah. So you see the percentages, and at the top, if there are any rigs, you might find specific ship types or modules, whatever, with a material consumption minus something. And at the bottom of this pop-up, you will also see the system cost index. So that's what we talked about earlier. So you can gauge how much activity there is and maybe find a system that is less active in a particular area of manufacturing or science or whatever, and then have a little bit less money that you need to pay for each job. No, I think the system cost index, you're talking about Fuzzworks. I don't really know how Fuzzworks does it, but in RefWorks you actually say which system you are using, and it will just take the system cost index from there. That's the link I posted, RAVWorks. For just a basic overview of what you need, basically, for specific blueprints. Lazy Blacksmith is pretty good. I believe Eve IPH is, if I remember correctly, a tool that you actually have to install. which I think, if I remember correctly, is like, yeah, very, very dense, but gives you a lot of options if you really want to go deep into industry. Really important, Janus obviously is for actually checking prices of input materials, and obviously if you're doing trading within the corp especially, always use just Janus to actually check GTAP prices and go from there. Another really, really good tool is Geef Assets. Again, a tool you actually need to download, and then you basically add your character or characters, even an altcorp, and it will scan all your assets, and you can just basically get an output of all the resources you want to use for industry, copy and paste them into RefWorks, for instance, and directly be able to look at, okay, what do I have, what do I still need? EVE Marketer, EVE Tycoon, both for checking the market, obviously. And Atom for EVE also has market tools and invention and BPC info, and yeah, Atom for EVE has a lot of stuff. Maybe a few more things I can talk about. I already talked about the use of alts. We talked about the system cost index. I think I talked quite a bit at some point about like item selection, but yeah, it's really, it comes down to, okay, how complex your production you want to do, how many steps you want to do, what you're comfortable with. Not Geef Assets, Geef, J-Eve Assets. Yeah. So this one I marked there. Yeah, so it comes down to, okay, how complex of production do I want to do, what I'm comfortable with, what resources you maybe have access to easily, what you just do yourself. Like, as I said in the beginning, I was just thinking, okay, I'm doing exploration, I like that, and I get data cores and decryptors. Let's dabble with invention, and then I basically gone from there. And I tried reactions, and then, okay, I already tried the invention. I have T2 blueprints. I tried selling them, but maybe just try and do some T2 production. Yeah, so you can develop stuff like that as well. Yeah, obviously, as I said, like, okay, what are you comfortable with? What kind of logistics? Like, the logistics is really important. What space am I at? Can I get materials there easily? Can I get them locally? Do I need to ferry them in? How do I get them in? Can I use hauling servers? How much does the calling service cost? Do I enjoy hauling and just want to do it myself? But how much time does that take? Do I have the appropriate skills, and not just in-game skills, but actual player skills, to actually haul the things safely in a great enough capacity? All those things you have to think about, okay, and then look at, okay, I want to produce things here in this system with these structures. I want to use these BPCs or BPOs. And yeah, then look at how you can actually manage all that thing. Yeah, and then use the tools for the prices of the input materials, where there's the output manufactured components or modules or ships. And yeah, then you have to figure out how to get those things to market. Do you just sell them internally, basically locally on a small market hub, or go to JITA or MAR, or any of the other smaller hubs? What price can you get at what hub? How much things you can actually sell? Like, basically, if you're producing a module or a small ship that is used hundreds or thousands of times every day, you will always have a market. But obviously there are niche modules and ships that, well, might even give you like a decent margin, but you might only sell maybe once a week or so, because the market is also already saturated maybe, or there's just not a lot of buyers there. So all of these things really go into industry in some way. And also, if you really want to make money regularly, you have to look at how are prices developing. I'm doing, for instance, a run that takes like a week. Okay, I buy things now. What else? The price will change over that week. Do I still make money on that? Or do I want to wait to sell things? Or do I actually want to regularly just sell things all the time, buy things all the time? Then you have to average the costs and the sell prices somehow and have a look at that. Okay, do I still actually make money here? Or is this just a thing that I like to do, but I'm not actually making money? So all of these things are considerations. So for instance, when I basically really actively got into industry, I started out with reaction chains, got those reaction chains going more and more, added slots, added alts for those to get more and more reactions that I could actually fulfill all the T2 material, input material requirements for those, so that I could produce T2 materials in a great enough capacity to actually produce ships regularly. And then I scaled up the ships. I started with frigates, destroyers, cruisers, T2, and yeah, then I gone from there. And at some point I was producing, I don't know, like 5 to 10 Marauders a week or something. I haven't done that in a couple of years, but yeah, that basically you can just scale it up, and you have to think, okay, what do I still need to scale that up, or how much do I want to scale it up, and do I need to shift into a different ship at that point? Maybe I'm actually saturating the market in some way. Like if you're producing something that isn't like used in the hundreds or thousands every day, and you have a somewhat scaled up production at some point, you might even saturate the market yourself, or at least in a significant part yourself, and drive down the price of things. And obviously it really depends on what you're producing. If you're just producing a very specific T2 rig, or some specific T1 or T2 modules that are not used like in extreme amounts, it might even be with a small scale production, might be quite quick to actually saturate the market. Maybe not Jita, but another hub that is more convenient for you. So all of these things you have to think about. But it's really just as you go, like you ease yourself into it. Just find something you like to produce. It's really important also that you can, if you actually want to make money, that you have a workflow, basically, consistent workflow that is also fun to you. Like, I mean, you can have, I don't know, an alcove with 10 research and manufacturing alts, and you can saturate all of these all the time, but is that still fun for you? You have to think about that. Okay, how much do you want to scale? What do you want to produce? Do you just want to produce something that just needs basic minerals, or just a few basic materials that you can easily get locally, or do you really want to go into T2 or even T3 production where you need like a lot of different inputs from different types of spaces, and where it's getting more and more complex? Is that still fun for you? Because if you really want to do it like long term, I think it's really important that it's actually fun. Yeah, we have the Uni Hoarding channel in Discord, and I'll just have to check if there's a pin there. There might be a pin in there for the Uni Hoarding service forum post. Yeah, if you're using that for profit, then yeah. I'm just gonna that. Yeah, so yeah, the first pinned message there has the hoarding service post in the forum. So you can get all the info there and how much you need to pay per M3. Yep. Okay. Yeah. I think we're about done at this point. If somebody still has a question, if you want to want me to go a little bit more into this detailed reaction view, then we can talk about that a bit again as well. But yeah. Glad to hear. See you around.